when people think about the oppression that people from different nationalities face in the US, they often think of race-related issues, but rather the oppression that we face is more of cultural discrimination and even discrimination because of where we are from. And you can tell that by just looking at Concordia campus right now that international students tend to hang out with other international students. And I believe it's high time that we speak out that international students need to be integrated into the Concordia campus and even the community we live in at large.
Something that's really hard to deal with on a daily basis when you're in a foreign country is the language barrier. Sometimes people are kind of intimidated to talk to us because we're foreigner and they assume that we don't speak the language. But we're here to learn and we're really willing to do so. Even if sometimes we kind of stay in our comfort zone with other international students or international people, and just because we're too scared to talk to people, to native and being judged. But I think we should not ignore each other like this because we have a lot to learn from one another.
I remember a time where a friend of mine asked me whether we had tarred roads, electricity, or good drinking water in my country, which is Ghana. It sounded kind of interesting to me, and it created a picture for me that the person thought that, you know, probably I was living on a tree and riding on the camel back, which is kind of interesting. But honestly, instead of being hurt or angry, I thought about this and I asked myself a lot of questions. I asked, you know, the question that how global are we in our minds, you know, to think about other countries and how those countries are. And I also did ask that what would be a better way to ask a question in order to get to know someone from another country. So, please think about these questions. Thank you.
Every country has their own stereotypes. As an international student in the United States, I think there is a lot of stereotypes related to Chinese. Like such as they believe Chinese people they study all the time and they don't know how to have fun. I think it's just nobody really loves study, at least not study all the time. We study because we have nothing to do. Like a lot of Chinese students like me who study abroad, they seldom and they may never make a friend with America because language differences and culture differences. So like next time, if you make sure you ask a Chinese to go to a party, then you will see how funny they are.
It's sometimes interesting when people say you have very bad English. It's not that I have bad English, it's just that I have a different accent, and it'll be more good if people accepted that accent as a different accent. And sometimes people make fun of me at the back, imitating my accents and things like that. It's always better if they do it in front of me just to have a little fun, pull out on my leg, but if they're doing it behind my back, then it means a lot different for me.
American students and international students aren't always best friends. I think it's maybe that we're both kind of scared of each other, or there's some hesitation. If you talk to a lot of international students, you will see that their best friends are in fact other international students. That's the case with me. I have many good friends here. Unfortunately, none of them are American, which, I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't have any American friends, but it's something that I think we need to change and something that I think everyone can contribute to and become better at. Because you shouldn't be afraid of us and we shouldn't be afraid of you. It's kind of dumb actually, but yeah, that's how it is at Concordia.
In some of the classes I've taken, most of the discussions have been very American, and in most of these discussions I found it hard to contribute because I feel that I may not know so much about it because it's American and I'm not from America, or that maybe my accent would sound very funny to the American students and the faculty member. But this is not to mean that I'm not interested in learning. I am very interested in learning, but I wish that most of the discussions would sometimes go beyond the American borders and incorporate global issues as well. And these are some of the things that we international students would like to hear. Even as we learn more about the American culture, we wish that the Americans and our fellow friends from this country would also want to learn a little bit about us and a little bit about our culture.
Having heard of all these stories from international students, I think it's now time to take action. And we have some resources on campus. For example, we have the ISO International Students Organization. We also have the African Students Union and the Chinese Club. And these clubs are not even meant for international students only. They're meant for everyone who enjoys diversity, everyone who's willing to learn about other countries and get educated.